Testing 1, 2, 3. Mic check, mic check. No, I haven't done anything. Just been dealing with life. That's what I forgot. As soon as I got that's what I forgot. And that's the next program we have. But
And I wrote myself a note.
yeah, I need those extension cord too, and for the next presentation.
Okay, how long do we want? Like 10 foot, 12
Yeah,
foot?
like a 10-foot, and then a power strip. Who's the judge?
Billy Barlotta, wherever he went. He's here already. I saw him.
Right here.
Oh, he's in the back corner here.
The guy with the
Behind
bucket.
Jack. Behind Jack Norton.
Oh, okay. Last row. Sorry, Sally. How you doing?
Good.
I'm gonna mic you up for some audio. We got two because we have the internal, and then we're also streaming as well.
Okay.
So this one, we can actually, if you don't mind me,
Yeah, no.
and just if you're gonna go to the bathroom or something, just let me know.
Yeah, well,
So about this one we can put like right here probably. Gotta put the other way. And then this will turn it
On and off.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this one you can keep on when you go to the restroom. This one
I won't be
you
going.
wanna just take it off.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
all right.
Okay.
We're running, you know what? Actually, let's test this because I think we've been having trouble with batteries. Okay. We're good. If you have any questions or anything, let me know.
We're
We have a seat up there for you.
where am I sitting?
There's a chair right up here.
Oh, okay.
So for the prints, we'll be putting them up there. Then after the
Yeah.
prints, we'll take a little break and then we'll put the projector on the screen behind there.
Okay.
This is just for everybody to see what you're
Yeah.
judging.
All right. Not slipping them back for now.
How's it going? You all set?
Yep.
We
Hi.
got 77.
Pardon?
Got 12 prints and 65 projected.
Okay, you guys are low on prints too. Hiya.
Well, that's where we've been, 12 to 14. That's what it was last year. I'm happy that we're still maintaining
Yeah,
it.
we had a kind of a bunch the first time, but I know it's going to dwindle down to nothing. Because at the end of last year, we had like, I think the last competition, we had about, I think eight prints.
It's been pretty consistent so far.
People don't want to print anymore.
Yeah. I don't want to look at them on my computer. I mean, I do, but in the end, what's going to happen to them?
I'm not going to make. It depends on how our print division goes, but I'm not going to make a lot of prints this year. I got 2 I'm going to make for January, but and I'll use 2 old ones. Let's see. I like prints.
I do too. I think it's nice to look at a print that you can hold in your hand,
Yeah.
hang on the wall.
Now the younger people, they want to look at them on their
Yeah,
phone.
well, that's as big as they need, right?
Well, probably get started soon, huh?
Good evening, everyone. Have your attention for a couple minutes. Thank you. A couple of housekeeping items. First off, our holiday party is in a few weeks. The sign-up sheet is on the back counter. We have enough to spend right now, but more are welcome, certainly. We ask that you bring a dish to pass and also a gift to go for our auction that night. Doesn't have to be expensive, something like $20 or $25, chocolates, candies, booze. Gently used camera equipment that you're no longer using, that you think somebody else might use, that sounds at home to get. So any of that is certainly welcome, and the more the merrier. We usually have a good time and a good turnout. We talked about the book library that we've had for a number of years that we are doing away with. So if there's a title in that cabinet that strikes your interest, grab a title or 2, because that's going to be going away shortly. So please help yourself to those items. If you haven't had a chance to look, we have images up at the empty library in the front vestibule from our members. So take a little tour there if you want to take a peek and see what some of our products are capable of doing. Our next meeting is going to be a virtual meeting. I think it's December 3rd. So we're not meeting here. Yeah, December 3rd. And Ed Bartel will be hosting that. So please don't show up at the doors here because we're going to you know how it works. It's going to be like a Zoom meeting. So I'm going to send out an invite to all our members for that one. Either I will or I will. Virtual program. Oh, it's an image share, I'm sorry. Not criticized, but it's an image share tonight. So, so Bob, you're going to set up a thing for people to dump images? Huh? You said you can set up some money. You have to set it up on I'll talk to them. Yeah, just in case we need it. Okay, without further ado, tonight's judge is Charlie Bartel. Charlie, you're in the back, come on up.
You almost got my last name right.
You've been doing this probably longer than I've been alive. Welcome.
Exactly, you're right. You're absolutely right. I hit my 82nd.
Be gentle with us.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me back. I don't have any speeches. I think most people know how I judge, so we can get right into it.
Again, just to refresh, it's color, black and white, everything all in one. And creative images will have mentioned that they're creative and the title of the image.
Okay, but you have no categories. Okay, good.
they're all wonderful.
This is a very nice image of the Buffalo skyline. It's what really helps this image is the warm tone that it has, which contrasts nicely with the really dramatic sky. Everything, the verticals are all vertical. The image is sharp. It's a popular subject to photograph. I don't know that I would do much differently with it. Maybe, and this is really nitpicking, the top of the city hall is a little darker for whatever reason. I might have looked to lighten that up so it matches the rest of the building a bit. These things are easier to see when you're looking at the finished product. I know myself, I generally don't see a lot of these things when I'm on the computer, and it's not until I get my print back that I notice it. And at the cost of prints today, you're not going to throw it in the garbage and redo it. But it's very nice. I'll give this a 14.
That's an, excuse me, honorable mention for Jack Norton.
It's nice to see that some people are still doing prints. It seems like, I know with our club, there are very few prints last year and this year.
That's a creative.
I'm sorry, creative flower explosion. Thank you, Robert.
So creative, I guess the general definition, excuse me, that's accepted is a departure from reality, and this certainly is. It has a nice color palette. The technique is interesting. I'm not sure. Creative is always difficult to judge because what appeals to one person may not to another. This appeals to me. It has a nice color palette. I would give this 13.
That's an honorable mention for Robert Miller.
This image is exposed nicely. Exposure is right on the money. The color is there, although there's not a lot of color to it. The nice part about it is the color of the arch of the bridge, and that's basically your main subject, and it stands out a bit. You've got a little bit of sky in there. I might have looked to maybe darken the blue of the sky a little bit. I'll give that a 13. This is an interesting character study. I mean, it looks to me like you might call it street photography. It's got good color, good exposure. We're seeing an interaction between these two individuals. I might have, the crop is right across the top of the one fellow's head. I might have looked to bring it down a little more. And I don't think the people in the background are adding to this. I think you might have wanted to crop much closer to the two fellows that are the main subject. So the people in the background a bit distracting, and then the white letters of the store or business they're the brightest part of the image. So my eye keeps wanting to go there. I think you've got a lot of nice texture in this fellow's beard. I would look to just bring it in, crop it in a bit, and might even make a great monochrome. But as it is, I'll give it a 12.
That's an honorable mention for Paul Fitzpatrick. creative, this is emergence.
This is different. So the brightest part of the image is the young lady's face, and that's, I think, where we do want our eye to go. Everything leads up to that. You have basically a triangular composition, which works fine. We have a leading line up the center. I think the dark black background is very appropriate. I'm not even sure what the material is. I'm assuming that the material that's flowing down and toward the bottom is something other than what really was there. And I'm thinking that's why it's a creative image. Maybe, again, nitpicking, maybe the light on her face is a little bit too bright, but I would still give this 14.
That's an honorable mention for Paul Karras.
Nice lighting. The image has nice color. The long exposure works well with the water. The maker managed to keep the horizon nice and straight. I don't think the railing on the left does much for the image. I think if you wanted to keep that railing in, and you probably can't do this, you probably wanted to be off to the right more so we can see the railing as a leading line, but I'm guessing you couldn't go there without falling over the cliff. It doesn't have a tremendous amount of impact for me. 12.
John, what was the score? Pardon me? No. Oh, no, I didn't. I may miss the creative, but I try not to.
So night photographs are difficult. I know it's difficult to keep detail where you need the detail because of the contrast between the light and the dark. It's a nice cityscape. I think the highways, the clover leaves there add a lot to this image. There's detail throughout. The exposure is right on the money. It's got a really nice sky. I don't know if this is, I can't tell if it's buffalo or not, but it doesn't make any difference. But a very, very nice image at 14. This is a nice action, excuse me, a nice action shot of the boat races. I assume it's down on the river here. The water coming up off the boat is great. It fills the whole background. Excuse me. So you don't have the buildings across the river there. It's sharp, but it's a little bit flat. I think it needs more contrast. It should pop out a whole lot more, especially primarily the boat. I think we need more contrast in the boat. It's a good capture though. I'll give it a 12. So the maker here did a nice job with the waterfall and the shutter speed that he or she used to get that nice flowing effect of the water, which I think most people like to see waterfalls that way. I know I do, some people don't, but the leaves in the foreground, they're a nice color. However, I think the waterfall is the primary subject and not the leaves. And the leaves are taking up more than 50% of the image. So I think if you wanted the leaves to frame the waterfall, I think you needed to have a higher camera angle so that you just have some leaves at the bottom. And probably wanted to go in a little tighter on the waterfall. 11. It's a good exposure. The color is very good on this image. Composition, the boat is a little bit off to the right, and that's a good thing. The framing with the bridge, I think you really needed to see more of the arch if that's what you wanted it to do. But what I think hurts this image is the fact that the horizon, the land behind, back in the actual horizon, is tilting down to the right. I think probably when the maker printed this, he was looking at the bridge, which the bridge is level, but the horizon is not. And when you have a body of water, you know that's going to be level. Anything constructed in it or around it may not be, but the body of water is always going to be perfectly level. And in this case, it's not. So I have to give this 11. 11.
Everybody who may not be able to see the print, it is a little bit different than what was projected. It was a little, yeah, so it's a little different. So you know what he's talking about.
Skip.
This is a nice performance photograph. I think the all-white background works well. I don't know if these two dancers are posed like this or if this was part of their dance routine. I'm guessing they're posed, so I'm guessing they're static. I think there needs to be a little more detail in the gentleman's black trousers and shirt. It seems to be a little bit blocked up from what I'm seeing here. The lighting is very good. I think because of the blocked up blacks, I would still go with a 13.
13. That's a honorable mention for Robert Miller. And that concludes the prints.
Pardon?
That's it.
That's it? Okay.
Break.
Oh,
Yeah, there is.
How you doing?
Doing okay. Doing okay. Guess I'm going to see you a couple times in the next couple months, right?
Yeah.
Beginning of January, and then
You're judging January, is it?
I think it is.
I think so, yeah, I do. And then one at the end of the year? Or,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, boy.
Because there's no writing in it, so no one's gonna ever attack us.
Is that bridge familiar to you at all in terms of location? I was wondering where that was taken.
No, no. But I'm guessing it's out west somewhere because of the mountains behind
I
it.
was guessing as well. Yeah, that's got a lot of impact, doesn't it?
They're both just as expensive.
I think it might have been like a gourd.
I knew it was something. Yeah. You're right. I think it's a gourd.
Or something like that. Maybe
That's funny because
inverted vase.
my wife has a bunch of gourds in a basket, and I've taken a few of them out, and I painted them black, and I've got a pumpkin that I painted black. I'm getting ready to do a still life. I'm not quite sure what I want to do with them yet.
That's back in the.
That's not easy, because either way, right, it's not going to look exactly parallel,
So maybe the only thing we do is zoom out, give it an arch fully, and then.
Yeah, as soon as I saw it sitting there, so I just forgot about it.
Yeah, you can tell that the bridge is going down.
Actually, the water is going down. It dropped 6 feet in the bridge and
So think the water is. Yeah, that's showing you, yeah. But he's suggesting, though, you want to make it seem like the water level. Is that what he's suggesting?
Is that yours?
Oh, no.
No.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I was trying to get, just learning, how would you correct this problem if you were retaking the shot?
I was hoping to see that boat,
Zoom out.
and I kept on missing it. And then I went to it was like the company had an event at Riverworks.
Yeah.
And it was tied up on the dock right outside Riverworks.
Well, this what you can say if you would have taken just on your computer, just turn it so that this is level, not even worry about up here.
So you're just saying let Photoshop.
bridges go up on an angle anyway.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so you could turn it. You might you will lose a little bit. You get these little white triangles, but you can either crop them out or use the remove tool, paint it in, and it'll bring water there. But yeah, that's slanted. But
It's funny, it didn't look like
It's a
that
nice-
up on the screen, but there you can definitely see it.
I have
Isn't that
to
funny?
judge this, not the screen. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. But otherwise, it's a nice image.
So you're saying use Photoshop to correct that. Yeah.
I don't know what those are. The white lines. I didn't see them.
Oh, yeah.
They could be fixed also.
Yeah, that could be fixed easily. in
Yeah.
Photoshop.
It's a gorgeous boat and everything, but yeah, I can see the horizon there. It's not straight. It's really funny how that happened on this, that it was totally different.
I decided that's by the Peace Bridge.
Yeah.
You think it's a Peace Bridge?
I don't know. Oh, it must be, because it's, you know, if it was the Grand Island, it would be blue.
Yeah,
And anyway, it can't be blue, because there's not two of them.
I'm wondering if that's the top of the bridge to the Grand Island. I don't know, you can see it.
I have no idea, I never get downtown, so I don't know.
Well, he must have been on a boat too. He couldn't have been on the shore. Or whoever he was.
Yeah, I don't know.
They had to have been on a boat.
That's that new boat that they built, isn't it? I think they built it.
Yeah.
Right down at Riverworks. I'm not.
Where are you from then?
Where am I from?
Yep.
I live in Williamsville.
Oh, you live in Williamsville? Oh, okay. I was wondering maybe if you were over from Canada or something, if you were in the
No.
Canada route or what. So you don't have that accent, but.
No. We just were in Canada today, but I didn't pick up any accent.
I'm sure all the Canadians are coming over here now to do the shopping.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
My sister went out today and she went to the Niagara Falls outlet and she
Was it
said
packed?
really
Was it packed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it. Photographers around here. It's amazing.
I know.
That's so interesting. I don't know if it's a squash.
Yeah, it's some sort of a gourd. Yeah. It's interesting.
I'm wondering what he used down here. Like, what is that?
Yeah, it's one of those gourds.
So he superimposed the gourd on top of
Yeah.
her image.
Yeah, blended them in.
All right.
I have no idea how to do that.
It's interesting.
I know. I'd have to ask Paul. Paul's asking for somebody who does maternity photo shoots.
I have a bunch of, well, my wife has a bunch of gourds that I'm using for a still life, but I painted them flat black.
Did you
And
really?
I haven't decided exactly what I want to do with them yet. I got a pumpkin, got a white pumpkin, and I painted it flat black. I've used the pumpkin
So how were you using
before.
it when she did painted the pumpkin black? Are you putting white light all around it, or are
I'll show you.
black and white?
That's the pumpkin that's white. I painted it. I've since painted it black. And that's the color image.
Very nice.
The same thing.
Yeah. Oh, very, very nice. That's striking.
Yeah. Yeah. This I'm going to use this in our competition next month. Anyway.
Wow, I like those.
I like the black.
Start learning still life. I don't do still life.
Do you have a studio in your house?
Yeah. I'm looking for one in particular. I can't believe I don't have it on here. I have one that I use in a PSA competition. I won the end of the year competition last year.
With the Niagara Regional one?
No, this is the international one. Photographic Society of America.
Wow,
Oh,
that's impressive.
that's it there.
I love it.
Yeah. Black stones, black bottles. My granddaughter painted the background for me.
Oh, the stones.
Oh, she did like a sponge painting? They kind of like
I'm not sure
I thought
what
that was a backdrop. I would not have guessed.
I don't know
that.
what she used to brushes, and I don't know. I gave her the material and the paints, and I was doing something else, and an hour later she got it done. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I do a lot of still life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah.
I gotta have to grind.
This is nice. I like it.
I know.
A lot of nice detail in there.
I've never done anything like this.
I'm trying to figure out if it's, who shot it, and if it was a drone.
Was this the Robert Miller one?
Well, I don't know, but I almost think it's a drone shot.
You think so?
Yeah, there's no tall buildings on this side of that building, I don't believe.
I don't know.
And the reason I say that, and it's just my eyes too, Charlie, because maybe I have macular degeneration, but I'll guarantee you if you put a straight edge on this side of the building, the top of that building widens compared to here. This line starts to move out. So I think it's perspective by a drone, which is then is closer to the drone than the bottom, just like you get keystone with the.
Whose image is it?
I thought you said Robert Miller, but
No, Bob Hardick. It's Bob's. Ask him.
It could be.
Ready, Charlie?
Pardon?
You ready?
Yep.
I'm gonna have you grab a number for our 50-50 club.
Hi, John. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I see you went with Doug down to Louisiana. You enjoy it?
Oh, I loved it.
So you were kayaking? You have to worry about tipping over and those things?
Very stable kayaks.
Are they?
I mean, I could stand up in it.
Oh.
So.
I've been kind of thinking about doing that. I'm not a water guy though.
Is that something I should add to the list to buy?
You want me to pick a number, huh?
Yeah. Okay, everybody, 50-50. $29.50 tonight. Big dollars. Are we ready? The last three numbers are 7, 9, 1.
Because you're hitting the.
Still got it.
Because you're catching the projection.
All right.
There you go.
Hey folks, I got a real quick announcement. I normally leave for Florida around the second week in January, and there isn't a real live program until the second week in January. Everything is virtual up to that. I just realized it tonight. Depending on what happens with the condo, I may not even be going if FEMA doesn't get in there and approve things. But at any rate, I've got a program in April, and I want to do something on lighting. I want to follow up on what Paul did last week. I'm not going to get into lighting patterns. If you want to do that, come on to the studio. We can play all day at the studio, and we can do anything we want with lighting patterns. What I want to do is, and I'm counting on you guys, I want you guys to come up with some problems that you might have with lighting, some concepts you might have with lighting, and we can hammer them around and work as a group and talk about lighting and what lighting does and how we can change lighting. What causes lighting to do what it does? How do we change it in the studio? How can we change it outdoors? We're going to talk about all kinds of things about lighting. And Paul's program was very good, very good introduction to portrait photography. But I want to talk about the basic things and how light works and how it improves our photograph. You can get it right in the camera. You don't have to spend a lot of time at the far end. And that's what I always try to do. I do almost zero editing on my photographs. So work on some ideas and come up with some challenging questions, and I'll study hard. All right.
Quiet down a bit, please. Quiet down.
This is a very nice image of a church interior. I do a lot of these. I enjoy doing them. This one has great color. It's very sharp. I think the most important thing when you're photographing church interiors like this is the symmetry. And if you're not right smack in the middle, the symmetry is gonna be off a little bit. And that's what I'm looking for in this image. I'm looking for symmetry. I'm looking for left to right, top to bottom. This image, as best I can tell, is as symmetrical as it's gonna get. It's perfect, and from what I'm looking at, it's perfect. If you were to draw a line down the middle, cut half away, flip them over, it'd be the same image. There's not much I would do with this. You know, you could do a little burning or dodging, or depending upon your personal taste. But myself, this is a perfectly acceptable image. It's I can't find anything really wrong with it. I would give it a 15.
That's an honor award for Bob Hardick, Blessed Trinity Church.
The maker here used a nice leading line, the canal, the waterway, and these elements that are in the waterway. They lead nicely up to the bridge and into the buildings in the background. The lighting is nice on the background buildings. The area that's in the shade tends to be a little blue or cyan. I might have looked to select that and with your saturation thing, remove a little bit of the blue. And I would only consider doing that because there is so much water and shadow in the image. It's a nice sky. The verticals are nice and vertical, and that's a good thing. Impact-wise, it's not a terrible amount of impact for me. It's you know, some buildings. A nice image to have, and a nice image to take. I would give it a 13.
As an honor award for Jack Norton, Scene from Downtown Providence.
You see, birds are a very popular subject for camera club people to photograph. I enjoy doing it myself, and this is a very interesting bird. What makes this photograph is a bird. He's not just standing still looking off into the distance. He simply has his mouth open, and that gives it much more interest. It's got good detail on the whites. The image is sharp. The whole bird is sharp. He's standing on an interesting piece of wood. Even the muddy water doesn't hurt, and the background is blurred nicely, so it's not busy. So I think it's a very good bird portrait. It does have some impact. I would give it 14. You have a profile portrait of, it appears to be a leopard, and it doesn't matter. The image, it doesn't look as sharp as it could be, and I'm looking at the spots in the shoulders going up to its neck. I think it needs to be sharper. The black background, I personally, I like black backgrounds. They make the subject stand out more. Impact-wise, it's not there because the animal is just looking off to the right. Were he looking toward the camera, it would have even more impact. If you were looking toward the camera and growling, it would be great. But as it stands, there really isn't the impact, and I don't think it's sharp as it could be. 12.
Honor award for Beverly Goldschmidt, Leopard Portrait.
Sorry, what was the score? 12.
For a night picture, its exposure is very good, and we got a nice detail in the shadows. There isn't much that's blown out. It seems to be a relatively long exposure. There's a lot of water in the image, and I don't think, well, maybe the maker wanted to get the reflections of the buildings, but I think this would have worked better as a long, narrow image, panoramic image. I think you could probably cut a lot of the water out, crop it out. I think the reflections would be better if there was no movement in the water and they were real mirror reflections of the buildings. But a nice sky. I think otherwise it's a good image. So I'll give it 13. Here's where the reflection was important to the photographer. It's obvious because the person kept the entire image in. The water makes a good background. It's very plain. The lighting is warm lighting on the bird. The impact it has some, not that terrible amount of impact, but I think it's still, because it's sharp, I would still give it a 13.
Honor award for Sally Brewer, Rosie Rose. Rosie Rose.
It's a strange looking insect. I have no idea what it is. I don't think I've ever seen one. The maker did a good job of keeping the background very simple, very blurred, and keeping the entire insect sharp, which is hard to do when you're doing macro. On the negative side, I would eliminate that piece of plant that's going up the right-hand side. You're cutting right in the middle of it. I would have just brought your crop in a little further, get rid of that altogether. As far as impact goes, to me, because of the type of insect that it is, it's a simple, I'm not sure if the word simple is appropriate. There is not much detail for me to see in the insect. And it's a good image to take. I mean, it's a nice image to take, certainly to have it. And you did a good job with it, but it doesn't have impact for me. So let's give this a 12.
Honor award for Linda McKinney, Walking Stick.
So I'm not 100% sure what the center of interest wants to be. I see this dead tree stump coming out of the water. I'm thinking that's what the photographer had in mind, because that's sharp. The background goes soft. The really bright background is bothersome, and we see a lot of framing of that piece of that tree by the I'm going to call it Spanish moss. Maybe it's not. The stuff hanging down. There seems to be a lot of that takes up most of the image. I'm not sure what the subject matter wants to be here. I have to give it a 11. nice, nicely colored bird. The bird is sharp from front to back. He's on a nice, simple branch. The branch is not coming out of the corners, so that's good composition-wise. That's good, good background. The angle of his head, you would like to see it a little more turned to the right or more directly to the camera, because we're only seeing one eye. The beak is covering the other eye. So it's not the greatest pose for the bird, but everything else is handled well. I give it a 13. I know I've not been able to get birds to pose the way I want them. They don't listen. This is very nice. It's composed nicely. The crop is just right. I think we've got some room at the top, some room to the left. His feathers are not merging with the end. They're far enough away. The tail feathers are far enough away. He's on an interesting plant. My guess is this bird was taken probably somewhere outside the country, South America somewhere. I don't think we have these. I know we don't have them around here. Background handled nicely, good color, 14. The Albright Knox it's a great building to photograph. And I don't know how many of you have been there recently, but even inside the new section, it's very interesting. A lot of nice photographs that can be taken in there. This photograph, the exposure is pretty good on the building. We got a hot spot over on the right-hand side, which is light coming out of something. I think the newer part of the building. I don't know that the lights from the cars going by, they don't do anything for this image. I think they're distracting. All of the pavement leading up to those lines isn't doing anything. The image really wants to be a panoramic. But if you notice on the left that artistic structure that's on the lawn on the left is blocking the left-hand side of the building, that's throwing it completely off. I think if you wanted to do this at night, you've got to wait. You got to do it without automobiles going by. Like I say, in my opinion, those red and white lines are really hurting. And you've got to take, I think you got to take a number of different exposures so that you can probably use an HDR software so that you can get shadow detail and highlight detail without blowing it out. It takes some work. I have to give this 11. It's interesting putting the statue in front of everything else. I think it's kind of a nice idea. I don't know how sharp this is. I think it could be a little sharper. I think you've also got a merger with that tower up on that building that has the PSFS on it. That's merging with the frame. So I think you need more room there. If you don't have it and you want to salvage it completely, nobody's going to know that it's not there. And I think it could be brought down. It's a little bit bright, especially the bright building in the middle. I think I would try and take that down a bit. I know it's tough to bring whites down, but I think you've got some detail and some texture here where you can probably bring it down a little bit. 12. architecturally, it's an interesting building. It lends itself nicely to monochrome conversion. Exposure-wise, I think it's too bright. It's too bright. I think you need to bring it down more. I don't. I don't understand the framing. I'm guessing there's something put in front of the lens, and I don't know what or why. For me, it doesn't do anything for the image. I'm assuming the photographer wanted it for a reason, and if you did, then that's fine, but it doesn't help this image. The sky is almost white. I think I would look to try and do something with the sky, even to replace it with a sky with some clouds or even a black sky, and bring the exposure down on the overall image. You got to give us 11. The fog or mist, what appears to be drifting across the ground, is a really nice aspect of this image. It gives it a real mood. You've got a nice sky. The foreground leading up to the first windmill on the left doesn't have much fog. It's not discernible. So you have about 35–40% of the image from the bottom up that's just grass. I would crop that right out. Bring your crop up close to the bottom of that windmill on the left. I think that would make the image a whole. I think it would improve the image a lot because its colors are soft. 12. The composition is good. It's a tight crop, but it works. He's got an interesting expression. I think it's a little bit hot on his face. I would bring that down a little bit, but his nice texture. Let's see, 13. It's nicely lit again for a nighttime photograph. The expressions on the people in the background are terrific. You know, you can see they're really enjoying this gentleman's performance. I know these are hard to do because this fellow's moving and dancing, and you did a good job here. You certainly would like to see where all of the fire, but you know, when you shoot this, you don't know. And his one hand is almost going out of the frame. I don't know if he's holding something in that hand or not, or if that's the edge of something in the background. But it's an interesting photograph, and you've got it's a good detail in the subject. I would give this 13. The boat races are nice. They're fun to photograph. I've done it. It's great to follow them along, shoot them as they're going through. They're colorful. The rooster tails are great. They block out the background. Again, we have a lot of water in the foreground that isn't doing anything. I think you just crop it out. Crop most of it out. You have a sort of a panoramic. Exposure-wise, the shadow, could use more shadow detail. It seems to me that the lighting here was fairly even, so I think the issue was probably the exposures setting in the camera. 12. It's a good. The image of the owl is very interesting. The way he's flying toward the camera on an angle, as opposed to, you see a lot of shots where they're just going sideways. The background is not distracting. I might have looked the crop a little more in on the left, maybe a tighter crop, but otherwise, the fact that this fellow is looking right into the lens really gives it a lot of impact. So I would give this a 14.
Honor Award for Joseph Tomasario, Great Orange Light.
It's a nice place to be. It's a nice scene. Good color in the trees. The mountains in the background have nice detail. You got a nice blue sky. The road leads into the trees, but there's nothing there. You'd like to have a person or a couple people walking into the image, even an automobile, although automobiles don't work that well, this type of an image. I think, if you're shooting this, if you're there with a friend or something, have that person walk down the road, or set your camera on timer if it's safe to leave it on a tripod and walk yourself. I would remove the little branch up in the upper right-hand corner that's coming into the sky. And I would also put a vignette on this, darken the edges of the image, and even adding a pinstripe or canvas extension around the image would help. The 12. And I would remove that sign. So the maker did a nice job of getting everything sharp on the squirrel. The background is just because of the aperture and the distance, it's nicely blurred. Impact-wise, I guess it's because we see so many squirrels. I think it's difficult to get a shot that has a whole lot of impact. I think this image could be, again, cropped in a bit more. What's on the left isn't adding anything to the image. I would come in a bit, just so that you have more image to the left of the squirrel than you have to the right, a little bit more. 12. Nice color. I guess it's maybe the sunrise, rising or setting on the mountains here. Looks like an area in Yosemite. You have a nice sky. I think the image could be a little more saturated, a little darker, and make it a little richer looking. Excuse me. And again, I think a cropped up a little bit more from the bottom would help, because there's that pond, that bit of water is not doing a whole lot. I think the subject is the mountain with the warm light on it. So I would give it 12. Excuse me. The interior lighting is nice and warm. It gives a nice feeling to this image. It looks like it's the city hall. The symmetry is there. It's near perfect, not exactly. I'm looking at the curvature of that thing there compared to the opposite one here. Maybe you needed to crop in a little more on the left to make it appear to be perfectly symmetrical. Anyway, it's a nice study in geometric shapes and curves. Great curves along the bottom, mirrored by the curves on the top. It's got good detail, good color, sharp. It's 14. So this fireworks image, because of the shutter speed used, they're not completely sharp. It's a nice pattern. It's a nice crop. I like the little bit of light lighting up the trees. I think having left the buildings in the bottom worked for this shot. But I think the settings needed to be a little different such that this was sharper and you didn't have so much motion blur in the fireworks themselves. 12. Composition's perfect, and this it gives us a lot of impact. And this guy's right up. It looks like he's right up at the camera lens. All of his fur is sharp. I think the crop is good. It has a lot of impact. I would love to see this in black and white, but as it is, I could give it 14. I'm guessing there were two photographs put together here. One of the water drops, and then of course the leaf. It's a great creative idea. If anything, I would like to see the blacks blacker, so that the leaf stands out more. I would select the leaf and give it more contrast. But otherwise, it's 14.
Honor award for Sandy Silvestri, Ripples in Time.
It's a nice landscape image. I'm thinking it's somewhere in the Southwest. I'm not sure. Maybe the framing of the tree in the top might be a little bit too ominous. I'm thinking maybe you could remove some of it, but it's not so bad. It's got good color. It's sharp. The composition, other than the framing of the tree, and I'm vacillating on that. The only thing I would suggest with this is this area up here. I would bring it down a bit, darken it a little bit bring a little bit more detail out. But it's a nice image, 13. Letchworth, not Southwest. A lot of nice texture in the animal. I don't know if this is a domesticated cat or it's a lynx. I see the little things coming off the ears, and looks like it might be a young lynx. At any rate, it's exposed nicely and nice texture. I think a much tighter crop would work. All of this, the stuff on the right-hand side is not needed. I would get rid of that. And I would also, what remains of it, I would darken it down as best you can. With software today, this thing here, I would remove with the remove, if you're familiar with the remove tool in Photoshop, you can get rid of that. It'll put fur there. And this right here also. And I would try that up there. The chain link fence behind there doesn't bother me a whole lot because the face of this animal is really, it's really compelling. So other than those things I mentioned, I would give this a 13.
Next one's creative. Nope, first good, bench number 2.
This is creative, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. This technique is similar to one that I use a lot. This is it's a simple image, the bench. The crop is good. The color is really nice. It's very warm. I don't know. I would put a frame around it, a pinstripe around it to really set it off from the black. This is very nice. The maker did a nice job of finding something that most of us would walk by and not even think of photographing. 14. It's good composition. What's interesting is the upper left-hand corner, a meteor, I think, coming in. Comet, I don't know the difference. But I think I'd like to see a little more shadow detail on the face of the building. 13. Some nice colors working here. The red, the black, this person doing a reenacting. He's got somewhat interesting expression. It would be nice to see more of the gentleman's face. Because otherwise, impact is not quite there. He's got a relatively textured face, and I think if you were looking more toward the camera, or you were close, further to the left, it would make a much more powerful image. 12. This image it's nice and sharp from front to back. Interesting sky. You got clouds, and even though the trees are missing their leaves, they still help this image. One could say cropping a little bit off the bottom. You could use a little bit of a crop, maybe. You've got some framing in the lower left. Maybe that's what they wanted to keep there. But overall, I think the image needs to be a little bit darker to make it a little richer than it is. It's a little bit too bright. 13.
Honor award for Tim Marinaccio, Boathouses at Sunset.
This some street photography. The interesting part about this is you've got the vehicles behind, even though they're out of focus in their background, they're vehicles, transportation going from right to left, which is what this gentleman is doing on his little scooter. I'm not sure. I would work, get a little more saturation on him so that he stands out a little more. And I would look to remove this thing here that's distracting. I would even remove this sign on top of the yellow cab. Those white things they want to draw your eye. So in most of the photographs you take, look into the backgrounds and see, look for things that are white. They just pull your eye. And I know myself, I'll process an image on the computer and I'm done with it. I think it's great. I'll show it to my wife. She goes, "What's that white spot back there?" So I miss them myself. It's an interesting study. I'd give this 12.
Honor award for Paul Fitzpatrick, commuter, New York City.
'56 Chevy Nomad station wagon. What a desirable car. I like the angle that this was shot at, the low angle, nice saturated color. I think